Okay, wait. I have something I want to talk about, and it may sound boring, but I think it's actually not only interesting, but deeply relevant to your life. I want to talk about 401ks. Okay, I understand that 401ks sound boring, but it is relevant. And to talk about 401ks and some new news about 401ks, I have to talk about retirement in general. Now, you may think, why the hell do I care about retirement? I'm a young Twitch viewer or a YouTube frog. It doesn't matter. But unfortunately, everybody who was once young will eventually get old. And in that time, when you get old, you're probably not going to want to work forever. You are going to want to eventually have enough money so that you can stop working and you can still afford, without working, things like food and shelter and Disney cruises and gifts for your grandkids. You're going to want to have those things without being on the treadmill of working until you are literally dead in the ground. So to do that, you have to think about retirement. And that is why I want to explain broadly the 3 to 4 ways that most Americans, I'm focusing on American POV, this should apply to most major developed economies, but I'm focusing on American POV. There's like 3 to 4 ways that most people have in their head that they're going to use to have some money when they get old. This is Chris. We're going to call him Chris. And he is an employee at a Coca-Cola bottling plant. It's a median income job in America. And we're going to use Chris as an example of somebody working a regular job and needing to think about retirement. So the first way that Chris might plan to have some money when he's old is via the government, and that is called Social Security. Most people in America are thinking of Social Security as one of the main ways they'll have money in their old age. How does that work? Coca-Cola, his employer, pays Chris a salary, but they take part of that salary and they pay it to Social Security, which goes in a big fund paid for by all the working people paying into it in America. Then, when Chris gets old, Social Security pays out back to him. This happens right now to 69 million Americans. That's almost a third of America. We have 300 million people. A huge chunk of Americans are getting paid out the benefits of Social Security, having paid in during their lifetimes. There's a couple problems with this. If this is your plan for retirement, there's a couple problems. First off, most people report that it's nearly impossible to live off of Social Security alone. While it does pay you out a certain amount every month, it's not enough to live off of. It helps. It's a nice bonus. Second thing that's worth mentioning about Social Security is that you start claiming it at around, 67? Around age 67, you can claim full benefits of Social Security and start getting it paid out every month. If you live more than 10 years after that, you are profiting off Social Security. You are making more than you put in, because retirees typically receive more than they paid, especially if they didn't put a lot in when they were growing up. That means eventually the amount in the fund is being drained. More retirees, as they live longer, are draining more than they put in. Additionally, the population curve is aging. So in 1950, when this kicked off, actually 1940 was double this, but in 1950, there were 16 workers to every 1 old person taking out. Then it was 5 to 1. Then it was 3 to 1. By the time you start to get old, actually it's gonna be worse than this, but it might be 2 to 1 or 1.5 to 1. That's not enough workers to pay out all the benefits. And so what the graph shows is that the best time to be claiming Social Security is basically like right now. It's to be a boomer. This system works really great if you were in your earning years here and born in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and then you're claiming your stuff now. It's going to get worse if you're young now, getting old later. So for retirement, Social Security is not a great option to make as your plan, especially if you're young now. If you're Chris, who's a working age now. Plus, little bonus, Trump's big beautiful bill is also making it even quicker to run out of money for Social Security. So not a great thing to rely on. The second way you can plan for retirement is rely on yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. This is self-directed retirement. Chris can just say, hey, I get a paycheck every month from Coca-Cola. I'm gonna take part of it and I'm gonna pay for my kids' school, my Ford F-150, and a jet ski that I lease. Like a classic American. I can put my money towards these things, and then also I can save some of that money and put it away for retirement. Now, this is totally fine, but the problem is you can't realistically put your money in a jar. You can't save your money as cash or in coins because inflation steals the value of the money every year. So if you put your money away, it's not growing growing, it's actually shrinking with time. So your retirement money is not going to be good enough by the time you get old. So what you have to do is save the money in something that grows in value, like stocks or real estate or whatever. So a really common way to get around this, not just in America, but like in China and a lot of countries, is that your house becomes your retirement fund. You are putting money into this thing for 30 plus years. It's growing in value. And then when you need to retire, you can sell your house that has gone way up. You can go move out to a smaller house and you're good. Your house has become your retirement vehicle. It's self-directed. You put part of your money into it, it's grown in value. This system works well for a different age group. Who did I say last time? This one works well for boomers. Who was last time? If you were born around this period and you got a house, then you've seen massive price appreciation and you're going to be able to sell at a huge increase in the value of your house. If you're trying to buy a house now, it's very difficult because it's already so expensive. So it's hard to get not only the money to buy the house, but the price appreciation to make it worth it. So this one's good for boomers, this retirement fund. The other way that has been a common source of retirement funds in American history is pensions. Pensions are a work-directed retirement fund. So Coca-Cola might pay you your paycheck, but then also pay some money into a pension fund for all employees. And this fund grows over time. And then when you have worked at this company for 20 plus years, you can cash out your pension and they give it back to you as you leave the company. So you might get either a lump sum of a ton of money or future payments every month forever, or an annuity. This system is great if you're gonna work at a company for a long time. That age group that has benefited from that would be boomers. Because boomers worked at companies for a long time. That no longer is a common thing. The average person nowadays only works at a company for a few years. So companies don't even offer pensions anymore. In fact, Coca-Cola is one of the only companies in America still offering pensions, but most companies no longer do it. You can still get it if you have a government job, but in general, far fewer Americans have access to pensions than they used to because nobody works at one place for 20 years anymore. So pensions have gone away. So that one's for the boomers. Okay. Finally, this is the new wave. This is the common way for retirement savings in America and similarly kind of all over, but especially in America right now. That gets to my main topic. 401ks are not named like that because of $401,000, like I've heard people say. 401k is named after the tax code 401k. It basically says that you can get a tax-free, tax-advantaged account with your employer to save for retirement. And it basically, if you don't know, if you're not employed or whatever right now, it works like this. Part of your paycheck that you choose, you set a certain amount, can be put into a series of employer-chosen funds. So it's kind of like a partnership. Coca-Cola picks a couple funds that are safe, that are generally considered to be diversified and safe, and you can put part of your paycheck into them. And as a bonus, some really nice employers will also match your contribution. So they'll put some money in too. So you're putting money together into a safe fund. The point of this is that this is tax-free until you take the money out. So you're getting pre-tax income and it is considered to be safe. This has been remarkably successful in America. This has become like the primary way people save for retirement. So since 2007, the 401k market has tripled in size. It's actually even bigger than this. Now it's something like $12.2 trillion in America is now in 401ks. This is where the majority of Americans' retirement is saved. This system has been really great for boomers because if they bought stocks anywhere around here for their working lives, well, now it's up to here. This is really awesome. They have seen incredible lifetime price appreciation for all the stocks they've been buying. The S&P 500 is at all-time highs, and if you're retiring right now, you've seen this grow massively over your whole life. However, there's a fair argument to be made that this line will continue to go up and right forever. Okay, this is just the growth of the economy. S&P 500 has been a safe investment for a very long time, and you can buy in here and still make a ton of money. That's a fair argument. Even though it has gotten more concentrated recently, there's a little bit more risk. We talked about it in the Hank Green video. Again, right now we have NVIDIA as 8% of the S&P 500 alone by itself. Kind of risky, a little scary, but fine, whatever. It still is a strong thesis. You can still do this. This still makes sense. However, one thing is changing this week that I think everyone, especially young people, should know about because it's only going to get more insidious and scary going forward. There are people who see this $12.2 trillion locked up in very safe index funds and see dollar signs. They get very greedy. They say, I want some of that money. That money would be so juicy for me to have. These people are called Wall Street, okay? And they have been constantly knocking on the doors of power to get the 401k laws changed. Okay, this is BlackRock CEO Steve Schwartzman. He wants you to have options other than just safe, broad, diversified index funds. He would like you to have options that are called alternative assets. Oh my God, I said BlackRock. It's Blackstone. I actually need to replace that. This is Steve Schwartzman of Blackstone. Blackstone private equity. BlackRock, totally different. Blackstone, I'm sorry. I always convince those two. And he wants to tell you a little bit more about his company in this holiday video.
Go on tour? Like Taylor Swift, but a Blackstone version? I love it.
It's the alternatives era. We buy assets, then we make them better.
By the way, by the end of this video, you should be convinced that you want to put your money in alternative assets. My bad. My bad.
It's the alternatives era.
Bill with Blackstone.
This tour rolls on.
Tell me you don't want to give your money to this guy. Tell me you don't want to put your retirement in this guy's hands. Please be honest. Anyway, he obviously made a convincing argument to you with that video. He made a convincing argument to Donald Trump, just like Ghislaine Maxwell made a convincing argument to him. In this Getty image from a few years back. Interesting. He has always had this dream. Listen, most people have a dream of starting a family or helping someone out or finding a job they love. He has had a dream his whole life.
In life, you have to have a dream. And one of the dreams is our desire and the market's need to have more access at retail to alternative asset products. At the moment,
his dream is to make sure that you can put your retirement in alternative asset products.
and you know, a lot of people are not allowed to put those into retirement vehicles and other types. What it's doing is denying people sort of a better retirement. There's a ability for something to get changed that could be really, really impactful.
So that was in 2017. That was when it was just a dream. But hard work and perseverance took off. And after years of lobbying, this week it happened. Trump signed an executive order allowing alternative assets like cryptocurrencies and private equity into your 401k. It's called democratizing access to alternative investments for 401k investors. Now, you don't have to put your retirement money in some dumb diversified portfolio of stocks. You can now put it into things like private equity or a Bitcoin fund or Dogecoin or a number of other options that are now available to you. What I want to be clear, I want two things to be clear. Number one, you need to take a close look if you have a 401k on the options and the split of what you're picking. Because if you do a default split or an even split, you are going to end up putting money into more risky vehicles than maybe you intended for your retirement fund. By the way, as I've said, the S&P 500 is already kind of rich. It's already kind of concentrated. Doing a opaque, fee-riddled private equity fund can be disastrous for your total returns. Secondly, the reason this happened now is not a coincidence. The reason this happened now is that private equity, after years and years and years of easy money. Private equity, by the way, is rich people taking a bunch of money and buying private companies, buying your local dentist or buying a nursing home or whatever, and then trying to milk it for profit and sell it for an upside. Okay, that's the idea. Private equity, it's non-public companies. Private equity will tell you that this executive order is long overdue because wealthy clients have always had access to the great private equity space. But now everyone can have access. But the reason they are allowing everyone access now is because the music has stopped. Because private equity investors, the rich people, are realizing that they've bought a bunch of dog shit companies that they cannot sell. They have bought a bunch of companies that they have run into the ground that they can't sell. They are stuck. Their money is in a dead fund and they need exit liquidity. They need to dump it on someone else. Ideally, someone stupider. Ideally, a public that has $12.2 trillion sloshing around for retirement. This is a bailout. It's a hidden bailout. They're going to come to you with smiles. They're going to come to you by saying how great it is, how cool it is, how much better return you can get by putting your retirement into these funds. But what it really is a way to bail them out, to get your retirement money, to give them money to get out of their bad positions. So I want you to be super fucking aware. I want you to actually keep an eye on where the split of your retirement money is going if you have a 401k, so you do not end up being bailout money for these type of people. It's really important. Like, I wanted to make this presentation for a few days now since this came out. It's really important. That is why they're doing this now. The larger takeaway is that all of these retirement vehicles in America, whether it's pensions, whether it's self-directed, whether it's Social Security, whether it's 401ks, have been incredible for boomers. Everything has been set up to keep these retirement vehicles great for boomers for their whole lives. They've been growing and developing. And now we're getting stuck in a much worse spot. As you plan for retirement, just know that all the stuff that worked in the past for boomers may not be so easily applied to you. Don't take advice from boomers on exactly the same way they did things, because they had an unbroken string of green lights. They had 40 years of falling interest rates and rising housing prices. So just, you have to be careful to understand that their environment is different. But on a more specific level, even if you're going to do the same default strategy, don't get suckered in by these funds. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. I wanted to give that update.